Rebuilding my Hyundai I30N has definitely been one of the more enjoyable cars to work on, but I'd say one of the more challenging rebuilds. And the reason being for that is because parts haven't been the easiest thing to find. You may remember last time we did change over the rad pack and slam panel, and it did take me a few weeks to find that for what I thought was a reasonable price. Because sometimes, even though these parts are available from breakers, they cost more than what they cost brand new, which is just ridiculous. But the good news for you guys is I do have more parts to get this car a bit closer to the finish line. And the first of those parts to continue the rebuild in this video is this passenger wing just here. Now you may notice it is slightly the wrong shade of blue, and it's not off an I30N, but I don't think that makes a difference. In the last video, off camera, I went about painting the back of the wing to match the rest of the car. At least that way you can't see red sticking through any of the panels, and I can leave this side to a professional. And how this wing fits really will be testament to the quality of the repair work which we've already done on this car, seeing as we've replaced one of the wing mounting brackets just here. Now we can only hope they do line up, but there is only one way to find out. Let's get it on. So we kicked this video off with a new wing which I got from Cinetic. It was about £200, which I don't think was too bad, and worked out about £100 cheaper than buying one brand new from Hyundai. This is attached with a bunch of 10mm which sit in the arch, and also some at the top underneath the bonnet. Now, because I'm a man who has learned from his mistakes, I haven't chucked anything away for the I30N, and I'm glad I haven't at this point, because there's a few screws which I needed off the old wing, which I thought were just scrap. And there you go, just here. I feel smug right now. Now, frustratingly, the new rad pack did actually come with a brake cooling vent on the driver's side, but it didn't come with one on the passenger side, and I'm not able to salvage one off my old rad pack because it got damaged in the crash. So I've had to go and buy this from Hyundai. It's a brand new one. It cost £80 for this, which I think is a little bit ridiculous, but not too bad in the grand scheme of things compared to some of the other parts on this car anyway. But apparently this is the last one in the country, so I was pretty lucky to get this. Luckily, this vent was really easy to fit. It was just two 10mm bolts and a few clips which attach it to the arch liner. And then that can be followed by a new wheel arch liner, which again is supposed to be the second last one of this side in the country. So now we can start to fit that up. But one thing which did surprise me with this car, and it might just be me being daft, but it's the amount or the lack of bolts and screws on it. It seems like a lot of the things like the arch liners and stuff like that is just held on with clips, which just doesn't seem that secure to me, but you know, it doesn't rattle around too much, so I'm sure it'll be fine. Now, let me tell you, this is a satisfying feeling, having worked on this car and took it apart and got it back together with every single bolt in the right place, all the correct clips used. It's just one of those weird things that when you're rebuilding a car, it always feels like it's never going to be as good as it was, but it's a proud moment for me. Although that repair is almost invisible, there'd still be no getting past car vertical. Did you know that some of the cars that you see for sale may have previously been in an accident or have other history that the seller might not be disclosing? Car vertical is an online tool which helps you see the full picture of a car's story, which is ideal when you're looking at buying a used car. So take for example this Toyota Yaris GR which I found, which would be the ideal replacement for something like this. As you can see, the mileage all checks out, as it's got a green tick for mileage, it's got a green tick for theft, has a green tick for finance, but has that dreaded warning light for accidents. You can see the full timeline of the car from when it was manufactured, any previous number plates it's had, you can see any MOT advisories the car's had, and also when the car was sale and the ownership changed. Further down we can see the stolen vehicle check, so we can see that the car isn't wanted as stolen not only in the UK, but throughout the rest of the world as well. We can see the mileage graph all lines up as it's one steady curve and doesn't have any unexpected dips in it. And then finally the damage. This is the damage report on this car, and we can see that the car is a category B write-off, which means this should never be allowed back on the road. Then we can actually see photos of the car after the accident, so we can see it didn't actually have any airbags deployed, but it did have quite a nasty front end shunt. And given the fact this is a Cat B, this is definitely not a car that you'd want to buy even if you knew it was crash damaged. So whether you're going to be checking your car, a car you're potentially about to buy, or a friend or family members, use discount code Chris, and that's going to save you a fair chunk of money off your Car Vertical report. So thank you Car Vertical for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. Now at this point in time I would like to try and put a new under tray on, but I haven't got one, and I haven't bought one from Hyundai either because I think it came to like 360 quid, which I think is a little bit silly for a little hatchback. So I'm going to see what I can get second hand. So if you have got an under tray for an I30N, let me know on my Instagram, which is just here. And even if you haven't got one, it's probably a good idea to go and follow me right now because, well, I've got something on this car that you guys are going to be helping out with, and that's how you're going to do it. So go follow me. So while we're waiting for the rest of the parts to show up for the front end, I still need like a headlight. I need to find a bumper and a bonnet as well. And that really is just a waiting game. But for now, we have some more modifications to be doing. And these ones are actually inside the car. Well, actually, I've had a slight change of heart. The interior is not disgusting in here, but I mean, I've definitely seen nicer before. Let's get it cleaned up first. Now, I know cleaning isn't the most exciting thing in the world, so we're gonna get this done in 15 seconds. Let's do it. Well, that is definitely looking quite a bit smarter, and even though it wasn't too bad, it's nice just to get rid of all of the previous owners' bum crumbs and get it ready for me to own. But now we are on to the next bit, and well, it's something I've never actually fitted to a car before, so we're going to be doing this together, and that is a short shifter from RPM Performance. Again, the same as last time. They've sent this out to me. I'm going to leave their links in the description, and it goes somewhere underneath, well, here. So, well, let's figure it out together. Let's get it done. So the first thing we have to do to fit this RPM Performance short shifter is take out the center console. So the first section comes out just by pulling it. It's only on clips, and then you can release the gear gaiter from that trim. Now, you don't actually have to remove the gear knob, but if you do want to, give it a good tug and it will come off. Next up, inside the armrest compartment, there's two 10mm. And then there's 6 more screws which hold the center console to the car. That's it. Then once all of those are out, you can then remove the center console from the car. I can't believe how easily this comes out, but once that's free, then you've got to take this metal bracket off around the gear stick and the 4 bolts at each corner, and that will make it so you can access the bottom of the gear selector. Okay, I've done an awful job of filming this, but this is what we've got underneath here. It's actually really easy to take the center console out. There was 2 bolts just here, there was 2 screws here, 2 screws here, and then 2 behind the plastic covers down there, and then it literally just pulled out. You can unplug the center console section here super easy. The whole thing is just coming to, it's literally held together with a few screws. It's surprising, but anyway, here we are. I've managed to unclip this just here. You do that by pushing the pin outwards and then pushing it back, and then you get to this here. So all I have to do now is take this plastic cover off, if you can see that, put that on here, bolt that onto there, and then put it all back together. I promise you, someone who's competent could do this in less than 30 minutes. Me, maybe an hour. So once we've got the RPM Performance bolted onto the bottom of the gear selector with that plastic clip, we can start reassembling the car. Starting with the 4 13mm which hold the gear stick in place, then the 2 10mm which hold the metal bracket which surrounds it. Then it's back in with the center console and the 6 screws and 2 bolts which hold that into place. And then finally, it's on with that last center trim and the gear knob. Let me tell you, I said in the last video this car is nice to work on. It makes you feel like you're a better mechanic than what you are, because everything's just so simple, which realistically is how it should be. And, well, that was a nice install. It was actually enjoyable to do because there's nothing that really got you stuck for too long. But let's have a feel of how this short shifter feels. So I wouldn't say this car had a long throw before, but, oh, that is... no way. It's stiff. A bit too stiff, maybe. think I've done something wrong. I was getting so excited as well. It's typical, isn't it? For some reason I can't, it's like there's something stopping me getting into fifth and sixth, but first, second, third and fourth feel immense. The gearbox feels so tight now. I'll check back with you in a few minutes and let you know why I can't get fifth and sixth. So here is what was getting in the way. There's this little stud which pokes out of here, which this attaches to. So what I did, I've moved this kind of retaining plastic bit up the sleeve a bit further and onto this one, which isn't being used, and now I'm going to cut this one off, I think. Not sure if that's what you're supposed to do, but that's what I'm going to do. So now I'm going to test it before I put it back together to see if I've learnt my lesson. So we can get first, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. That's better now. Let's just double check reverse. That's all gravy, and we can see why it was catching down there. I'm 90% sure that's what you've got to do, but I may have just done it in a much more ghetto way. I probably should have just used a hacksaw or something, but life goes on. And all back together for the second time, so we're getting all the gears. That's definitely one of those mods where like the idea of doing it is worse than actually doing it, and now I know, and you know, that that little stud's going to get in the way. It's going to make it a hell of a lot easier for you to install on your I30N if you have one. But my modifying itch hasn't been fully scratched, so the next thing to go in is some new sequential tinted wing mirror indicators. So after I'd removed the wing mirror cover cap and fitted the new indicator, that just clips back in and then it's on to the next part. Which is this snazzy RPM Performance N footrest plate, which just simply sticks on. So now I've itched my modifying bug, we can get back to some of the rebuild parts, and the next part to rebuilding up the front end at least is the headlights. So, well, the one from the driver's side did survive the crash luckily. I've just had to pick up another one for the passenger side, which is just here, so we can bolt these up and see if they're going to work. Hopefully it does. Now, some of the wiring on the passenger side has been damaged. That would be this stuff here, so this is for like the DRL and the parking sensors, but unfortunately there has been some minor damage on the headlight plug as well. The wires do still all go into the plug and the core of the plug is still there, so I'm hoping it still works, but I will be repairing that at a later date. So we can plug in the headlights, but unfortunately it doesn't make the same satisfying click as it secures onto the back of the light, but it will do for now. And then to bolt it up, there's just a 12mm at the top nearer the windscreen and two 10mm lower down the car towards the bumper. So now the real question is, are those headlights working? So we need to start her up. Let's flick that on there. That one's working as we'd expect. And yes, we've got the passenger side as well. That's looking sick. Now on these cars, the indicators are in the bumper, in the DRLs, which might partially justify the £1,000 price tag of those, but all we've got on here is a side light and a dip beam and a full beam, so that's all we need to make sure is working. And I think we're looking all good. And the next part of this, which has seen better days, is the bonnet. Now, the main damage is actually here on this corner where it's folded, but it is rippled really badly across the top here, so it's probably just going to be cheaper to replace this. So to take this off, again, there was two 12mm on each side which hold the bonnet to the hinges. Now, if you're changing bonnet on a crashed car, chances are too you'll need to change the hinges as well, because even if they're only bent by a tiny bit here, by the time that's down here, that can put panel gaps off by like an inch. So we'll change these over for new ones as well. And to access the bolts for this, I've got to take off the scuttle panel. So that means taking off the windscreen wipers and then a few clips, and then we can shimmy that out of place, and then we can get to the bolts for those hinges. So there's two 12mm just down there which are underneath the scuttle to take off, and then once those are off, the hinges will come off the car and I can replace them with these second-hand but undamaged hinges off a car the same colour, so I haven't even got to paint them. Winner! So we can get those hinges unbolted from the car and we'll get them replaced with the new ones. But before I did that, it only seemed right to give it a proper clean up under here, because I couldn't believe how dirty it was. It was full of leaves and mud and all sorts of stuff, but once that was cleaned up, I could then get the bonnet hinges on, and then we can see how the bonnet's going to fit. Okay, hinges are on, and I've gave a little clean up underneath the scuttle panel as well, because it was a bit grim, and I have got a new bonnet here ready to go on. It is slightly the wrong shade of blue, but let's see how it fits. So we get the new bonnet bolted into place, and, well, the fit isn't horrendous. It's not too bad. There's still a bit of work which needs to be done on the panel gaps, but there's no point getting too hearty about the panel gaps because it's all going to have to come back off in the future anyway. So then we can refit the windscreen scuttle and the windscreen wipers and move on to the next stage. So progress is looking pretty good. We've got most of the front end on now and working as it should, it seems, but there is one more thing we can do before that front bumper goes on, and that is sort out this bit of wiring here. Well, we can sort it to the best of our ability. I've managed to get one of these plugs from someone else who's been rebuilding an I30N. This is for the DRL and the indicator in the bumper, and luckily all of the wire colours match what we've got here, so that's nice and easy. And then we've got 3 wires here for the parking sensors, I believe. Now unfortunately I don't have the plug for that, but I have got some, well, OEM spec cable in the exact same colours, which is going to help me. So I'm going to extend these and then leave these hanging until I decide exactly what I'm going to do with those. And because I don't have a soldering iron or much equipment for electrical stuff really, but I want to do this in the best possible way, I'm going to use these connectors which have solder inside them and also heat shrink. So what you do with these is you strip the wire back, put both ends inside, heat up the centre of it so the solder melts, and then the heat shrink shrinks around both of the wires and waterproofs it, and that is it done. It couldn't get much more simple than that. All I've got to do is repeat this 6 times for the DRL and indicator, and then another 3 times to extend the wires for the parking sensors. Once that was done, I then reused the original trunking off the damaged wiring to give it that completely OEM look, and then wrapped it in electrical tape to match the rest of the loom. I am happy with that repair. If you didn't know it was done, then you wouldn't know, if that makes sense. But yeah, progress is looking good. Bonnet's on, the wings on, the headlights are in, and we're missing one last crucial piece, the front bumper. Now I've managed to pick this up for what I think is a pretty decent price. So I've got a complete front bumper, that's parking sensors, the DRLs, which is supposed to be £1,000 each from the main dealer, all of the foam sections on the back, the wiring loom, everything. And I got that in a package bundle with the passenger headlights and the rad pack as well for a total of £2,000. So for the price of 2 of the DRLs, I got all of that, which I think is a pretty good deal. Now because it's come pre-assembled, we ain't got to mess around with putting any of this on. It literally should just fit straight to the car. And I can't for the life of me see how it properly fastens, because all of the holes which line up on the bumper just look like they're holes for clips. There isn't anywhere to actually bolt the bumper into. And it's the same story on the wheel arch side as well. There's nothing, it's just clip holes. What's going on? Let's just get it on the car and see what happens. So now we can look at fitting up the final piece to the face of the I30N. It feels like it was only a couple of weeks ago where I had this car delivered as a wrecked mess that could hardly even make it off the back of the recovery truck. So words can't describe how great it feels to finally be at this stage, but also to have took you guys along the journey with me. But I'd be lying if I said I was completely happy with the result. Although I'm happy we've brought this car back to near its former glory, apart from a bit of paint and a bit of fettling, but I think this car has so much more potential than just that. It's so easy to get lost in the world of YouTube where buying another car on top of another car is the best thing to get more views. But I don't want to lose sight of my passion and what I enjoy, and that's building and owning cars which are individual. Ones where it takes a true petrol head and blood and sweat and tears to build them from scratch. But we couldn't do that with a wrecked mess of a car, but I think we have now just about sorted that. So there we have the front bumper fitted, and well, sort of fitted. I need to go and grab some more clips. There is only clips that hold it across the top here and in the arch liners. The only bolt I can find which goes into it is the one that goes up through here into the wing. Apart from that, everything's clips. Which does surprise me and seem a little bit scary, but it seems pretty solid now. But we do have another quick job to do. So now the final piece to go on to the bonnet, and the assembly is just about complete. But I know there's going to be some of you in the comment section thinking, well, why have you put it together when the car obviously needs painting or wrapping at some point? Well, let me tell you, there's reason behind every single thing that I do, even if some of them are a bit stupid. Although what we've done up to this day is a big achievement, you really want to make sure you subscribe, because for this project, let me tell you right now that this is only just the start. Subscribe.